The sound of worship music has changed over the years, especially when it comes to the drumming. See if you can hear the difference for yourself. Wonderful, magnificent. I've got 5 tips to get you the modern worship drum sound. The first one has been described as an epidemic in modern worship. Surely this sounds familiar to you. My first tip to get a more modern sound out of your drums in worship music is to use more tom beats. Here's Ben Shive on a podcast with Sovereign Grace to explain why.
You can move your right hand away from a hi-hat, put it on a floor tom, and it opens up this sonic space.
We can all laugh about how much toms are used in worship music at the moment. I think part of the reason is that when you're on the floor tom instead of on the hi-hat, people can just hear themselves. They can hear themselves sing more. And so when you decide that you're going to play your hi-hat, it's fine, but you are taking up a little room that the vocal takes up. The crash and the ride. Like when your drummer's up here, you're saying, hey, everybody, don't be able to hear yourself sing. It's just all those sibilants that we sing.
So if you want to get a more modern worship sound, hit the hi-hats less and hit that tom more. Here's a demonstration of some tom beats you could use in church. Here's Ben Shive again, talking about my second tip.
One thing I talk about a lot is like building the snare. There are many kind of arrangements where it's like, we don't hear the snare till verse 2. Yeah. When we get it at verse 2, it's on 4 every other bar. And then when we hit chorus 2, it's 4 every bar. And then when we hit the bridge, it's 2 and 4. Oh, wow. And then it goes away. And then when we hit the last chorus, it's 2 and 4. Like learning how to build snare.
My second tip is all about the snare drum. It's all about using the snare drum to build dynamics throughout the song, not giving everything at once, but saving the snare for later in the song. So a common example is using a tom beat at the start of the song and adding the snare in later on. And if you listen to enough worship music at the moment, you'll notice there's a specific snare sound. It's got that deep, beefy sound to it. And you don't have to get a new snare drum to get that sound. You can get a big fat snare drum and slap it on your snare to get a similar sound yourself. So we've got the tom grooves in place and the snare drum building throughout the song. Now let's talk about fills. This is tip number 3. What kind of fills are we going to play? Most of these fills are super simple. They're ambient and they're atmospheric. You can signal transitions in the song by just rolling on the cymbals or the toms. The next tip is more about the kind of sound that's produced. If you listen to enough recordings, you'll notice that the drums are really loud in the mix. If you put your headphones on and listen to a modern worship song, and if you turn the volume right down, you'll probably still hear 2 things. You'll hear the vocal and you'll still hear the drums. Why is that? Well, I think those are the things that affect people the most. Obviously the message of the song and the lyrics is important. And the drums affect the feel of the song so much, so that's forward in the mix. It's important for us to bear that in mind at church as well. If we're trying to help people to sing, then they want to sing the tune, and they get the melody and the words from the lead singer, but they also need the tempo to sing in time, and they're probably getting that from the drums most of the time. So in modern worship music, the drums are loud in the mix, but that doesn't mean we need to be playing full volume all the time. My next tip is about dynamics. You don't want to play at 100% the whole time. If you did, then the song would sound monochrome or monotonous. The song should have its ups and its downs. We want to leave somewhere to go in the song by using dynamics. Here's Ben Shive one more time to explain.
Many songs that have a big lyrical arc are going to have a big dynamic arc. They're going to want to like start small and take us places and then get small again and then take us places again. Learn how to be able to build that. And some of building that has to do with learning how to withhold elements of the kit at the right times.
So there are 5 tips to get the modern worship drum sound. But to be honest with you, they're probably going to go out of date in like 20 minutes or something. So yeah, you could put these tips into practice and it might make your music sound a bit more like other modern worship music going around. But if you want your people to worship God more, it's not these kind of tips that they need. Actually, they need to know God more. As they know Him more, they'll love Him more and want to worship Him more. So if you want to worship God more and you want your church to worship God more, then read your Bible. In the Bible, God reveals Himself to us through His Word, and we get to know Him better, and we love Him more as a result. Or as some people say, theology fuels doxology. If you want more drumming advice that will last more than 20 minutes, then watch these videos next. Or if you want more fuel to worship God, then perhaps watch these videos.